Clara Parker was born on August 15th in 1877 in a house on 8 Orange Street. She was the child of Clinton Parker and Ida Abbey Hardy. She was the eldest of 4 sisters, Clara Parker, Ida Parker, Elizabeth Parker, and Barbara Parker. Her mother passed away at age 44, and Clinton Parker remarried to Harriet E. Andrews. Clara Parker was 18 years old when she graduated Nantucket High School in 1895 and began working at the Nantucket Atheneum at 21 in 1898. 8 years after beginning her career at the Atheneum in 1906, Clara was named head librarian with Isabel Coffin Gibbs as her assistant librarian. As Elizabeth Parker was the only sister who married of the 4, Clara Parker has only one living relative, her great-niece, Virginia Ginger Andrews.
My name is Virginia Andrews, usually known as Ginger. My father was a fisherman, my mother was an ornithologist, and Clara Parker was my great-aunt.
I'm Frances Cartonen. I'm a Nantucketer. Attended Academy Hill School from the 1st through the 8th grades. And I'm not sure, but I think I may have gotten a library card to the Atheneum when I was in the 1st grade.
My name's Betsy Tyler. I would have to say that the Atheneum is really, it's the heart of Nantucket. It's one of the oldest, maybe the oldest cultural institution in the town. It's had a central role in the community, since 1834. Well, she came on board, I think, in 1906. So it had been a public library for only, a few years when she came on board. And I did read that when she was first hired, the board, the trustees, sent her to tour 10 or 12 libraries around the state so she could sort of see what was going on everywhere else in public libraries. So with that knowledge, she came back and sort of got the Atheneum in shape.
You entered the front door, you came up the steps and entered the front door. At that time, the librarian's desk was directly opposite the door all the way to the back of the building. And the librarian's desk was elevated, and so the librarians had a great vantage point of the library. To the left, when you came into the library, there was at least one reading alcove, and I think there were several. I do recall sitting there while my Academy Hill School schoolmates were, in fact, making an unacceptable level of noise as far as Miss Parker was concerned. I suspect that she preferred those of us who came to the Atheneum with a very serious interest in the Atheneum's books to the kids who came there just to have a place to be after school. When we school children came in after school, we couldn't help ourselves. We whispered, we sort of scrabbled around, and we were firmly shushed. And I think that for some school children, that made the Atheneum not a welcoming place. But for people who love books, we just took the shushing as it came.
In 1920, when women won the vote, Clara Parker and her stepmother, Harriet Parker, were among the first to vote on Nantucket Island in the election of 1920.
What do I think of women's suffrage? I think it took much too long to come. Women have been asking for suffrage for an extraordinarily long time before it was achieved. And sometimes you read that women were given the right to vote. They weren't given it. They fought for it, and they fought for it, and they eventually achieved it. but it certainly was not handed to them on a silver platter.
I may have asked my Aunt Ida at one point about registering to vote, and Clara obviously had registered. She didn't say a lot herself necessarily, but I asked Ida why she didn't register to vote, and she said, "Oh, I didn't want the responsibility." A hazard of the time, I guess.
Photograph that the Nantucket Historical Association has of Clara, where she's a 17 or 18-year-old girl, so different from the woman I remembered. The one thing that's the same is that she was a very tall and slender woman. By the time that I remember her, she had white hair gathered up in a bun on top of her head. Women, as they age, get rather stooped over. She never did. She had extraordinarily good posture. My aunt told a friend of mine who asked about her that she had bright red hair and played the piano. Her hair was very white when I knew her, and they had given up the piano a long time before. She may have had arthritis. We picked beach plums and grapes and made jelly, but that was what everyone did. I think in her younger life, when she had bright red hair and played the piano and had I think a fondness for Gilbert and Sullivan, she was a very vibrant person, but I really never knew that side of her.
After holding her post as head librarian of the Atheneum for 50 years, Clara Parker retired in January of 1956. She was named Librarian Emerita upon her retirement, an honorary title awarded to a librarian for a long history of meritorious services for the library. She served 3 generations of Nantucket readers during her tenure. Her resignation letter reads, "To the officers and the Board of Trustees
of the Nantucket Atheneum, I tender my resignation as librarian of the Nantucket Atheneum Library to take effect January 12, 1956. I also wish to thank the officers and trustees, as well as the general public, for all the kindness shown me during the years I have been connected with the library. Yours sincerely, Clara Parker, Librarian."